Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, April 6th. The Year of the Raven is approaching. I think we actually have a date that I'll be able to announce in this live stream at some point. Sorry if it's not in the recording, but I guess it doesn't really matter because by the time you'd see this pre-recorded version, Year of Raven would have by far already started. We got some overlap here with Mage and Shaman and Warlock. So 260 gold packs. We still want gold, although getting a pack is effectively getting 160 gold. So that's still good. This will be the one I guess we trade out. And combo cards. Shaman and combo cards don't really interact, but that's alright. I don't believe we have to deal with any tavern brawls, which that helps a little bit too. Having 3 different region accounts and having it not just be merged, which I really wish it was just merged. That would fix so many problems for me. Having 3 different accounts means when tavern brawls happens, it's always on the same day. It's always a nightmare. We have 1 card pack that I earned in the post show. It's been a long time since we've had to do a post show in last stream, but we've certainly ran into a lot of wins that I needed. And so I seriously doubt any of those are going to be extra. We'll see. Apparently something is extra. Ooh. 6 cards are extra. That's interesting. That must be a bug. So we're kind of in a good position, although the new month issue is still gonna be an issue with trying to play ranked and get a shaman victory. We're only a few days away, so let's look. We've got this Murloc deck. Let's give that a try. And then this Custom Shaman 2 deck seems like it's a bunch of Death Rattle cards, so that's probably not something. Once we get to the new expansion, I'm planning on deleting every single account. Well, not account. That would be crazy. Although heck, that might be an interesting video too. If I'm finally done playing Hearthstone, deleting Hearthstone accounts. Nah, I would never be that reckless. So let's try the Murloc Shaman deck and see if we can get some ranked victories. See if we can get up in ranked, and I plan on deleting every single deck when the new expansion comes out and using the new Hearthstone deck tracker integration into hsreplay.net so that it can tell me the 9 best decks I can build for each of the character classes based on my collection. And I'm not exactly sure if all the bugs have quite been fixed with that or not, because it may very well tell me decks that I just can't do, because it's looking at my America's account, and which has way more cards than the European or Asian accounts do. Let's see. But yeah, that's my plan at least. Right now, PAX East or West or one of the PAXs is going on, so there's potentially a place for new things to be announced, but I don't really feel like PAX for maybe 1 year or 2 years it felt like people were announcing new games at PAX, but they don't seem like they've been able to maintain any influence or like promotional tie-ins to have that be the case. One of the PAXs certainly is just like 2 close to E3. This one is, so I could certainly see why you would not really want to release things at PAX so close to E3. And if you were going to do that, there's a bigger question along the lines of just why not why not just release or announce your game at your own time, like at your own press conference or press release, if you're gonna try and do that, instead of competing with other people who might release games at PAX. So PAX then becomes just this weird convention for people to gather together and not really do anything else. They just gather together and say hi, and they listen to speeches, which just some of that will certainly happen. But that's as a video game journalist, as much as I am, which I guess I am, I suppose there could be a point where I saw myself going to conventions like PAX just to get news, but Giant Bomb made a great argument where it's like, you really don't need to go anywhere. Everybody has live streams for E3. Everything gets leaked or put out as a press release. There isn't a lot of instances these days where somebody walks out on stage and goes, we've got this game we haven't talked about and you haven't heard about at all, and it's out right now, and here's all the details. And getting that early information probably won't add too much in anyways. Everything is so hype trained now that obviously you'll get 5 different announcements. If you look at how the Japanese do it with their hype trains, it's crazy. It's like, the game's announced, here's an article. Here, the game has its first screenshot, here's an article. The game announces one character is going to be in the game, here's an article. Oh, there's going to be another character in the game, here's a different article. Oh, there's going to be a third character in the game, here's another article. We've got the intro trailer, here's another article. You can get like this almost unending stream of articles and press releases that Gematsu and Gamasutra in particular will cover on Japanese games. And in all honesty, most people don't care one bit until you have the announcement of the release date, and until you have a release date and what consoles it's on, you don't really even care about anything about the game. Like, if somebody announced there was a great game, like, well, here, good example, Bayonetta 3. Let's say, are they making a Bayonetta 3? I think they are. Maybe they haven't actually said that. Let's say that they're making a Bayonetta 3, because I can't remember if they actually are or not. It doesn't really help me any until they tell me, either disappoint me and say, yes, we're making a Bayonetta 3, but it's only for the Nintendo Switch, which is where it would be, or they say it's for the Switch and PC, and then I'd be really excited. And I guess that's probably stuff I've already said. Let's move on. We've got a game called Existential Kitty Cat RPG, tagged with RPG Maker, sexual content. Let's look at these RPG Maker things. Now, long-standing rule is don't play any game that's an RPG Maker. It came out April 5th. Let's see. Apparently, there's been like a handful of RPG Maker-esque games made by this developer. But the problem with RPG Maker games is they look like people don't really care. Like they didn't really try to make a good visually appealing product, and that's pretty much the case. Like, by starting off and saying you're making an RPG Maker game, you're limiting yourself so much. You're admitting you don't have the ability to program a real game. You don't have the artistry skills to animate real, unique, original characters. It's not really a 3D or 2D thing. It's a matter of you're not good particularly with the video of the audiovisual part. You're probably not good with the audio of the audiovisual part, and you're not good with the interactive part of the interactive video game part. So the three pillars, if there's a triforce of video games, there is audio, visual, and interactivity. And interactivity certainly, and you kind of, using RPG Maker, immediately admit you can't do it. This game is 40% off for $1.19. It has 2 recommended reviews, which is low, too low to really mean anything at all. Let's see, am I trying to play control here, or am I just trying to win? Like, I think I can probably just win. So that's the first game that came out on Steam. Let's move on. Well, I kind of can't really talk about this article because it's, oh my god, this website's awful. I'm trying to zoom in and it popped up an ad over. So as soon as I made the page bigger, it popped up an ad with it, which made the X. It's got another pop-up for allow us to put cookies on your thing. Alright. I'm trying to talk about this article from pocketgamer.biz. It's called Indie Spotlight Pixel Hunts Florent Marin on Bury Me My Love and Trading Journalism for Game Development. Bury Me My Love is not anything that's caught my attention. It's one of those critically awarded games that I believe, like, since this person clearly says they were a journalist of some sort. Maybe they weren't a games journalist, maybe they were just a regular journalist, but since they were a journalist, I imagine they knew half of the people that were reviewing the game and had that close video games corruption, mainstream media video game journalism corruption going on, where you're super friendly and best buds with the people making games. But even at that, here you've got somebody going from being a video games journalist to being a video games creator, and I just don't think that's really a ethical thing to do. It feels like you're going from being a senator to a lobbyist. It's like you went from being somebody who was supposed to criticize and in part keep in check the video game industry to being directly involved in making money for the video game industry. And if you ever wondered why so many games get 7s out of 10s instead of the average score being 5 out of 10 like it should be, it's for reasons like this. It's for cronyism. And so I'm making mostly none. No real comment on anything. Just generally, it's an excuse for me to rant based on this article's title alone. Think there is something I'm seeing certainly about how SJWs are specifically trying a pattern of infiltrating industries that they don't even really care about, to then potentially call the entire people that actually were in those industries toxic and change it from the inside and gain power and just like manipulate the things. And in a weird way, I think there's some two different stories you could take from this, that like how they very much succeeded in doing that in mainstream comic books, which, let's be fair, comic books were never mainstream. They were always this niche product, but they very much have failed to do that so far in video games. There's a big difference there, though. Video games are the most settled in, strongest entertainment form as far as making money. They make more money than movies, they make more money than TV, they make more money than music. Video games are at the top of the top. Comic books, of the list of big things, are by far the lowest. Like, sure, I imagine manga, if you break manga and comic books apart, is lower than like Western comic books, and I'm sure that there's probably web comics don't make any money, I would bet, things like that. But there certainly was an infiltration into comics, and it really goes back as far as the introduction of the McCarthyism and the Comic Code Authority in the 40s and 50s. Like, comics books before that point were all over the map and doing whatever they wanted, and nobody was really caring or concerned about it. And then they came up with this basically trumped up falsified report saying it was causing juvenile delinquency and corrupting the youth. And then the Comic Codes Authority came in and put strict actual governmental censorship in place over comic books. Now, that is a odd argument to make, because those were certainly the what you would call the equivalent to an SJW of the time, but not what we call SJWs today. But more recently, they have infiltrated and tried to change things in Marvel and DC. You can see that no easier than the doing actual runs of the female Thor while not running any regular, while canceling the regular Thor character, just like not doing anything with him. If it was in the past, there had been what if books, certainly, whether it was what if Thor was female as a one shot, or you would have certainly just made a new character and given them basically the same powers as Thor, but taking it the extra step, taking the name of Thor away from him, was very intentional. Taking the pages and the story that you would give to the character Thor was intentional, and it's like failed. And I believe they made a female Wolverine, so but they already had a female Wolverine, that was X-23, but now there's an actual like female Wolverine. It's a lot of ridiculousness, a lot of direct liberal political propaganda has been put directly in Marvel and DC comics, which you wouldn't even know that if you're just watching the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies are doing whatever they want, and it has no connection whatsoever to Marvel comic books, and it's been mishandled by probably people who shouldn't have been in their jobs, possibly by people who infiltrated Marvel's corporation just to affect political change. Now, oops, there's my alarm clock. I started early today. I guess I need to remember to not have that go off. I'm talking really about comic books, which I've never been a fan of comic books. I see the people who really were fans of comic books, and they're like, nah, we really don't care about Marvel or DC anymore. Personally, I've only found, like, the Sandman series was good, so I imagine more Neil Gaiman stuff would be good. The Watchmen miniseries was good, the original part of that at least, and then that was kind of all of it, all I could ever get through. I tried for a year to get into DC comic books, and maybe I made a mistake in watching DC comics, but right at the beginning of the New 52 reboot, which is not even the current reboot, both Marvel and DC reboot all the time, so there's no reason. They reboot all the time because nobody wants to read what they're writing, and nobody wants to read what they're writing because they're not writing anything interesting or innovative, and instead they're just yelling at their customers. And it's hardly like liberal, progressive parents out there are having their kids read comic books. That it's just not happening. Their kids aren't. So they're not even getting support from their own base. On DC side, I liked Animal Man. I like Swamp Thing from the New 52. I like some of the Green Lantern stuff and the Red Lantern stuff. But most of the Batman, most of the spin-offs of Batman, which there were many, not so good. Maybe I like Constantine, but I can't even remember. Now, I know there's a lot of third-party stuff. Like, I imagine I would enjoy Witchblade for the art, at least, if I didn't enjoy the story. But then, at a certain point, if I'm just looking at comic books because I want to see ladies in states of undress, that the internet already exists full of images like that, so there's no real reason to follow a story along like that. Although it is sometimes fun to get some backstory, and instead of just seeing single images. So I don't know what I'm really saying here. I'm just kind of talking about what my experience has been for the past couple of weeks, and other people talking about it. I guess what I'm saying is mostly look out for infiltrators. Look out for people who are trying to enter or take over the industry and then push an agenda as much as possible. When you see somebody is new at Giant Bomb, for instance, that's particularly one crazy one. We've seen over the past 4 or 5 years at least 3 different people come in and do something different or push some kind of agenda, which may be shared by the other members, but certainly they come out strong and do a lot of it. I'm also, on a side note, kind of wondering about, like, I was watching a video for Pretty Good Gaming, and that's like a British YouTube gaming review, gaming news channel, I guess it's more news than reviews. And some of the people were talking, they were talking about the games they played the most, and they were talking, one of the guys was talking about how he's played like hundreds and hundreds of hours of PUBG, and I'm like, you really can't be a video game critic if you're just playing that much. There's, I believe it's Brad Shoemaker in Giant Bomb played Dota, like hundreds and hundreds of hours of that, and I'm like, you're just not getting enough variety in your video game diet to be a critic. Like, critics need to be able to play games fast and then move on to the next game. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to catch up to the large amount of content that's out there, that's coming out all the time. I don't know if I'm gonna succeed here. Next game we had a little bit of a conversation there. We have a game called Sling Ming from a developer who hasn't put anything else. It's 20% off at $9.59. Let's see. This is oddly a better looking game. Well, no, this isn't a platformer where you jump and hook yourself. It's apparently the character you're playing as is not really the character you're controlling. There's a lady in a spacesuit, and she's tethered to a rope, and you have to draw the path of the rope. And so the lady will swing back and forth and hit coins and collectibles, but you as the player are moving there. So some people might argue that this is an odd way to control a character, that you're literally dragging this female character around the whole time. But you know what, since games are an interactive media, I think this is an innovative idea. And it says it's similar to the game It'll Do, which I kind of liked. I wish it was longer. Let's see. Let's see if we can do any better over a Murloc deck. If we just get rid of this and just do the recipe. So we choose this and then click this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll just play this. Just play this classic Shaman deck and see how that works for us. Hmm. 29 achievements for this game called Sling Ming. Let's see. There's 2 reviews that say they're positive, which really doesn't mean anything. Well, actually, apparently Steam now has a recently posted section that doesn't classify as customer reviews, or are they separating things out? Interesting. Sling Ming, it seems like a game that you can actually add to your wish list. So celebration time, I suppose. We've found a game in probably the past 100 to 150 games that we've looked at that actually looks visually good, has an interesting concept. It's not going to blow you out of the water, probably. It's an indie game, but from a new developer. But it also isn't just a cheap, low effort thing. There's an actual attempt to make something that somebody would actually want to play instead of living in fantasy lands and being insane, which so many people seem like they're deluded with the release of their games, like, or they're either cynical or they're deluded, one or the other. I'm not sure if I've already covered this, but the Monkey Island artist and animator Martin Bucky Cameron died. He's probably, I think I retweeted the guy who runs Double Fine, where who has said that Tim Schafer, that's him. Like Tim Schafer said, he was a great talent and a kind fellow. I believe the quote, although they misquoted him or they didn't correct his spelling in the quote, which arguably both are pretty bad. Let's see. Cameron was one of the original members of the LucasArts famed Monkey Island team and was the artist and animator responsible for breathing life into the iconic lives characters like the Voodoo Lady and Meat Hook. During his time at the studio, he also worked on other titles including Battlehawks 1942 and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Eventually, Cameron left the company to co-found Totally Games, where he would end up working on the acclaimed Star Wars Space Sims, X-Wing, TIE Fighter, and X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, which incidentally was co-developed with LucasArts. So there might be some X-Wing TIE Fighter games not owned by LucasArts that... it's kind of weird that an animator would go and make his own company, too. I guess those were crazy times back then where you could start your own company basically for no reason. Or like, that's really crazy. Like, would Salvador Dali, had he been just a few decades older, be running some kind of video game company as an artist? Very possibly. Yeah, man, some Salvador Dali video games, that would be crazier. It'd be crazier than you think, because, like, while people do know him for his iconic melting clocks, that's only one of his many different series of obsessions that he had. Like, he was really into lobsters too, I believe. And then every now and then he would do something completely unlike his other art pieces. I'm a bit of a Dolly fan, so yeah, that would have been cool. You never know who the famous artists are going to be. In a weird way, I think Jim Carrey might turn out to be the closest to a super famous artist that comes out from this generation. Just because he has the fame already, and even though I don't know if his art is really going to be, he paints, is really going to be that great, the fame alone may do it. For some insane reason, Eurogamer put out a article talking about Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I don't know why anybody would be talking about Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Seems like if you wanted to talk about that game, you would have talked about it when it came out. Oh, here's the subtitle. Here's why they wrote this article. The subtitle is Feminism and Futurism Are at One. So they clearly, like, I'm not even going to read this article to get upset over it, but like, it was written by a freelance writer covering games. But, like, wow. You just wanted to write an article, and so you wrote an article about a game that is not relevant. This came out, let's see, the 5th. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is not on sale. I mean, you can buy it, certainly, but it's not discounted. They didn't announce a sequel. I seriously doubt they ever would announce a sequel. If anything, I'd prefer Mirror's Edge 2 to continue and improve the story of the first game, not Catalyst, which kind of rebooted the game. I do want to play Catalyst and we'll get around to it eventually, but as things currently stand, I don't have any real reason to. It's real easy to forget a game when you know it's never going to get a sequel. We've got a game on Steam called Alpencross. Let's see, it's the only game by this developer. 15% off for $3.39. Came out June 1st, 2016. So I believe when I see these, this is because they just came out to Steam. If it's not a relatively new game. This game doesn't have any reviews because it's new to Steam. It is a first-person mountain bike nature simulation game. There is a problem with it being 2016 because graphics just don't look as good, and I think you're gonna hold a game like there's about mountain bike to a very high standard as far as graphics, unless it's like a 2D artistic style or something that they do, and I'm not sure that beats Trials if you're gonna make a artsy 2D biking type game. So yeah, the grass doesn't look realistic enough, the rocks don't look realistic enough. It does seem like it might have a decent engine and decent game flow. So if somebody is into extreme mountain biking, they might be a lot closer in this game than any other to feeling like what it really feels like. And I could certainly see the benefit of not actually mountain biking and not falling off and potentially breaking your neck. However, you also have the loss of sitting in a chair and playing a video game and not getting any exercise, and becoming unhealthy. And I think a lot of mountain bike people, it has its own third-party EULA, which I think, again, Steam needs to hold that stuff back and say you cannot have a third-party EULA game as your first release game on our console. We're not gonna authorize that, because, like, putting in these third-party in-user license agreements are definitely there so that the company can, like, steal your information and use it for something else. It's not for the benefit of the consumer, certainly. And let's see, no reviews. It's from a new developer, $3.40. It's hard to justify buying this game. It's already a niche game, being a mountain bike game too, so I could certainly see a lot of that. Tragic Master says Jim Carrey, all about the everything is one. One is everything now, aka pantheistic monism. Just does not discuss the ugly side of those beliefs. only sugar-coated candy inside. Well, I mean, I haven't done too much into his basic religious beliefs, but I certainly see what you're saying. But I would argue Tom Cruise, highest, most respected Scientologist out there, he gets jobs. People go and watch his movies. He'll be remembered almost certainly as a great action movie hero. So perhaps in his things, like undoubtedly, like if you've been following Jim Carrey, he's been crazy his entire life. You hear stories about him punching walls and getting mad at working as a janitor before he started working at In Living Color. And then you look at where that comedy and that craziness worked really well in Living Color, and his first era of movies. It's like, yeah, he's totally out there mentally, but that's not terribly a bad thing for artists. Like, most artists are either crazy because they're doing drugs or were just crazy to start off with. Again, Salvador Dali is a great example. It's like, he probably was not the type of person you'd want to listen to for any kind of religious advice or anything. Yeah, I certainly understand the idea of people trying to do that lovey-dovey, let's all get along, everybody's religion is right. Inherently that doesn't work, because everybody's religion also clearly states that everybody else's religion is wrong. It just opens up everybody to justify doing everything, and justifying it. That there was a story just a few days ago of some lady tasering her teenage son because he didn't want to wake up and go to Easter. There's stories nearly every week of somebody letting go of the steering wheel, closing their eyes, and to prove to themselves or others in the car that they'll be safe, and the Jesus takes the wheel thing. Religious beliefs in general help a lot of people justify a lot of things. I think we're not, it's so stupid to say this, but I think we're not going to play ranked. I don't think I can get wins. I think we're going to end April on rank 24. Or at least we're going to start over halfway through the month when we get new decks. Like, because I'm just not getting any wins, and it's already been 45 minutes. But also this is like a video game website, so like I don't want to talk religion too much. Yeah, like Trudging Master Scientology was a honeypot, but I digress. If Hubbard was involved, there's nothing religious about it. Pumped for the new set. I'm so pumped for the new cards. Woot. Like, I've been mostly not looking at the new Hearthstone cards, so I'm not pumped for them, but I'm certainly pumped for some kind of change. Something needs to fix the problems of something needs to fix the problems of the rank changes, adding the 5 stars, or at least make me feel better about potentially ending a month at the lowest rank possible. Excuse me while I drink water. I decided to take yesterday off and do some of the Lego, one of the newer creator sets, the Lego Diner, which is very detailed and interesting so far. Although it does have one point where you're stacking no less than 20 1 by 1 square studded pieces together, which feels like they're violating some kind of Lego rule by doing that. It makes it made a very flimsy piece that required me to strengthen it later on. But as I was doing the Lego, I did not drink any water for like an entire day, and I'm always eternally dehydrated. I just forget to drink water and never drink enough of it. So I was very, very thirsty waking up today, this morning. Let's hit that. I might as well hit this because I'm just gonna like explode the explosive trap, right? No? Not an explosive trap? Crusader Kings 2, but not the DLC, is free on Steam, so go ahead and add it to your account if you ever think you might want to play Crusader Kings 2. The DLC is on sale also, but yeah, get the game while it's free. Why not? Unless you're just trying to keep your Steam account super neat and tidy with only the games you love. Let's see. Judging Master says, I was addicted to Lego Marvel. Once you have a couple little heroes, you start wanting them all. Well. Oh, you mean the actual Lego Marvel sets. For a second there I was confusing it with the Lego Marvel video game, which there's been a couple of those that I've covered. I go for the expert stuff, and I'm kind of at the point where I can't afford to buy any of the back-ordered, like out-of-print Lego Creator expert level buildings. But I like to have a lot of detail and stuff. So for me, I don't buy any of like the Ninjago. Don't care about Ninjago at all. I don't buy the Marvel. I don't buy the DC Batman stuff. I will get some of the Lego Creator 3-in-1s that aren't expert levels, and at a certain point I might end up buying 3 copies of the 3-in-1s because the 3-in-1s can be built into 3 different buildings. I want to get into the series of minifigs that come in blind bags, but I don't want to buy a blind bags, so I'm gonna eventually end up buying those from secondhand sellers on Amazon that will just give you the full collection. But I've got a big city that's growing, a lot of winter Christmas village, winter village stuff, so all of that, which that stuff's pretty nice too. But yeah, the licensed stuff, not so much. I do have what is it? The Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. Yeah, I have that on a shelf. I have like the Hobbit hole building. I have one little Minecraft set. I get little things from other sets. Like I have a bunch of Star Wars microfigures sets that were like $4 each. But those are things that go on my shelf. They don't go on the city table. And so I'm being mostly just as varied as possible. Let's see. It's kind of funny how Tragic Master said that. It's like, I was addicted to Lego Marvel, which means you were playing Lego Marvel within the past, like, decade. Because there weren't any Lego Marvel, I don't believe, before then. but you're already grown out of it. And I imagine, had I, when I was a kid, played with Legos at all, I probably wouldn't be playing with Legos now as an adult. To me, it is a simpler thing with less mess and less frustration and less physical effort than building something out of wood. That would be the next thing. Is above that is that uh, I would, if I wasn't doing Lego, I'd be building things out of wood. I'd be learning how to weld. I'd be turning wood on a lathe. I'd be chopping up things. I'd be casting and molding things. I watch a lot of people on YouTube build a lot of things, and right now I'm satisfied with just watching other people do that. But that would be the next step. Right now, though, I'm more than happy to just have pre-molded plastic pieces and follow those instructions, and get my fill of the physical creation desire that I have to make something physical in that form. And Legos are pretty good because they go up in value a decent amount when they're out of print, and they also will always inherently have some hand-me-down value where you could just give it to a kid's as a gift to children, and then they can play with it. So it works really good is for a lot of different reasons. The only thing is Lego is expensive, certainly, and Lego does sucker you in once you get into it. Once you get on their email list, all the time they have like these free Lego sets that they'll give you. Right now there is a free set that is a Lego factory worker working on a conveyor belt making minifigs as a display, and you have to spend $75 to get that. And before that sale, there was a double VIP points, and VIP points are like, you get maybe 5% back as a cashback credit for the next purchase. So I had already spent a lot of money buying Lego for the double VIP points, which was supposed to be my entire yearly supply, and then they come out with this free gift as soon as that sale stopped, and now I'm gonna probably end up spending another $75 on it, which is a lot of money to be spending considering right now I'm earning nothing whatsoever on YouTube. Tragic Master says, "Oh, the Falcon, nice." Like, I have the older Millennium Falcon. They now have a newer one with the Episode 7 characters, and they slightly changed the pieces. But when I got it a few years ago, it was it's the one that just was episodes 1 through 6, and mostly episodes 4, 5, and 6 characters. And also, they made a larger scale, very expensive version of the Millennium Falcon that is like the size of a coffee table, and that's not the one I have either. Let's see. Judge Master says, "I grew up with a guy, only got Star Wars figures for every gift, for every occasion. The rule was, if you buy him one, you must buy him two, open one and play with one to play with." Lol. He still has everything. He got mint in box somewhere. Lol. I'm not sure how mint in box you can really get Lego, because I order sets from Lego directly, and they don't pack them in the box well at all. So about half of the Lego boxes I have dents in them and are just bent and warped. They don't really care about it being collectible, so they just like do whatever they want to do. So yeah, if he really has them in actual mint condition in box, that might increase their value. Although I think particularly for Legos, it wouldn't as much as other things. Let's see. I'd want to collect every Lego version of Chris Pratt just for the lulz because he's has so many different Lego characters. Well, there's a lot of websites out there that, like, one of the best things you can do on YouTube that I found is you can get on some of the YouTube channels that are just about Legos. There's like Beyond the Brick. Let's see. I could probably tell you all the Lego channels I watch. I watch like 4 or 5 of them. But there's a decent amount of ones you can look at. Yeah, Beyond the Brick is one of them. Brick Spy, Brick Vault. Let's see if I have anything else I'm following. A lot of channels where other people will spend their money buying Lego, or they'll go to Lego conventions, which are fun. A great place to take kids is to go to a Lego convention. Most of them. You can get into these. Lego FanTube is another one I'm following. You can get into groups. There's probably a group somewhere near your city of adult fans of Lego, the AFOLs, that where they take their Lego bricks and they make something new about it. And honestly, I've never been able to transition from following the rules to making my own creations. I right now have enough confidence and innovativeness in myself to make minor changes, just little minor changes that I think would look better, and that's about it. Like, sure, I can place a minifig one place or the other and set a scene, but it's a very, very different experience, at least for me, to try and build, like, I'm trying to build a park, and just building a park with no instructions and no knowledge is what was really difficult to even get started and understand what I think I should have been doing, or whether I'm doing a good job with it or not. Like, Tragic Master says, I was talking about the actual Star Wars action figures and vehicles. Oh, so he has all the Star Wars stuff at Mint in Box. That Mint in Box will sell for quite a lot. Although, he's going to have to wait out a lot of Star Wars fans. And it certainly... like, I was debating... Somebody had given me a, like, still on the card back action figure of Darth Vader, and I didn't really care about it, and I was like, well, I'm gonna ask this person if they want this back, or I'm just gonna give this away to kids and let them open it, because I was fairly certain that it wasn't worth that much, even being on card backs, because it was just not that old of a action figure. It didn't look that old, but I could have been wrong. It very easily could have been worth like $400 or $500, and I was just stupidly about to hand it to kids and let them tear it open. But they agreed to take it back, and I figured, all right, that's better. Like, before I give away a gift that somebody gave to me, I figured I'd say, you know what, if you want this back, take it. Otherwise, I'm gonna give it away. Let's do this. This will be our last recording. Alright, let's go ahead and kill something. We can do that and we won't die. We can do that and we will die. And we can do that. And we can do that. And we can do that. Yeah. Star Wars will definitely sell eventually. But there's going to be a lot of trading back and forth. A lot of destruction that's going to happen. Look, Tragic Master says if I was him, I would just open them all up, set them on opposing sides, and get a ton of dart guns and live the ultimate final battle. Lol, forget resale value. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really feel that because I'm not that big of a fan of Star Wars. Like, I'm always so weird about Star Wars that the most interesting thing about Star Wars I've ever seen is been the animated Clone Wars, and like the continuation of that Clone Wars cartoon, and then the Star Wars Force Unleashed game, which is now not canon. Like, as for episode 4, 5, and 6, I think they're good. 1, 2, and 3, I think they're bad. Haven't bothered to watch 7, but from what it seems like what 8 did to kind of undermine 7, it doesn't seem like 7, 8, and 9 will be that good either. Rogue One did not feel like a Star Wars movie at all. I never really had that in my own youth experience, so I was just not that kind of nerd. Geek. We did manage to get 2 victories. That is something. That's gonna be it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, click the notification bell even if you don't think you need to, because you basically need to. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links in the description. And if you want to support me even further, gift me something on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.